I'm not insane. I'm just making hot points. That could be on a t-shirt somewhere. That could be a slogan. It is Hot Take Point Made, the CS edition, hence the Molotov, not the Ignite logo from League of Legends. Obviously, Maui's here, not streaming right this moment. Kassad's here. At this point in time, I can't tell if it's just because he's not like a coach or something, but Kassad, every day, I know what it must have been like 5 years ago watching my Twitter, Kassad. Every day I wake up like, who's he at war with now? Like, everyone again. Okay. Fucking hell. How's he managed to get everyone against him now? Like, okay. What's going on, Kassad? Why's everyone against you?
There's so many stupid people on the internet trying to, like, say things that they may think is smart, but have no connection to reality or any kind of truth whatsoever. They will find themselves in
I'm
this.
with you on that.
Yeah, so it's fucking crazy. So I kind of feel the need to kind of talk to these people, try to reason them out. Like, hey, you know, I mean, in the meantime, like I keep calling them idiots and stuff, but it's just part of the, you know, the show. I guess.
In that case, he actually has become me for about 5 years. If he'd have just said that in like a Northern English accent, that could have been something I would have said. No, yeah, fair enough. He's come similar place. Okay, right. Here's the thing. We are going to keep doing fan takes. So I've got a couple for this one. If you want to submit a take, there's no promise it'll ever get selected. I read through them and pick the one or two that I like. Then what you have to do is subscribe to the Last V Nation Discord, and there's a channel there called CS-Hot-Takes or something. You put it in there, and then I pick the ones that we use. But we'll start with one of our takes. So which one of you would like to volunteer a take for this episode? Who has an opening take?
Yeah, I'll do it. I'll do it as usual. Now, I have a couple of them, but I'll start with an interesting one rather than a hot take per se, right?
Yeah, because you do all your hot takes accidentally.
Let me open the spreadsheet.
Oh, he has a spreadsheet for hot takes. Is it color coded?
That's what we need. We all should have a spreadsheet.
I know. What's going on?
My hot take, first one, is that M0NESY.
Come on, fucking hell. I'm already so scared. Come on, hit me with it.
By the end of 2025, so this year, so it can easily be checked out later in the year.
Probably the goat or something, come and hit me with it.
No, we'll have more frags overall and better average frags per map than ZywOo.
I'm confused by that. You mean this year?
Frags overall?
You mean this year, yeah?
Yeah, for 2025.
Right, so in 2025, he will at the end of the year have more frags and a better what rating?
And
did you say?
He will average more frags per map than ZywOo. Now I wanted to pick Donk, but Donk doesn't play all the events, and there is a chance that Vitality might not play some of the Blast events because of the whatever. But they're going to be playing most of it, right? They did play a couple of them as well.
No, you mean PGL events that Blast don't play? Yes, yeah, you meant PGL. Yes, sure.
Yeah, PGL is on my mind because of the crap they pulled. But I mean, yes, PGL. So right now, M0NESY has 1,685 frags over the course of 92 maps. That's average of 18.3, which is all right. For example, Donk has 20.7 frags per map, which is fucking insane. On a pro level, highest level. ZywOo has 79 maps, so that's 13 maps less. And then 1,448 frags, which is exactly 18.3, same as M0NESY. So M0NESY has 13 maps more because of the the events and everything. But looking at the events that are upcoming, your Colognes, your IEMs, your majors, and all this stuff, they are probably going to be playing the same amount of the events, ZywOo and M0NESY, right? More or less one or two, I guess. One, maybe some PGL, right? And considering that both teams are now championship level, you can agree to that. Obviously, Vitality.
Yeah, of course, they're the top two teams.
Falcons are just up there right now after the M0NESY switch, whether we like it or not. They're going to be going deep into tournaments. So there is no he has a worse team. They cannot make the playoffs, like we did it at Liege last year when he was in complexity and stuff. So that's what I'm saying. Like, they have an even playing field right now, but the frag output will be higher for M0NESY than ZywOo. Now, the impact on the other side is definitely ZywOo because he has like 140 something and his impact is much stronger than M0NESY's. Because he is ZywOo after all. But number of frags is going to go towards M0NESY rather than Seaful. And obviously the average amount of frags.
By the way, you may as well just throw in, instead of saying all that about the events, you may as well just say, assuming they play like roughly a comparable amount of events and maps, then you think M0NESY. Is there a reason why attached to this?
No,
Like, is there
it was
implication
just
about
like
what it means?
No, it was just I was looking at the number of frags, the number of events they
Okay.
play, number of maps, and who is delivering what, who had what teammates, who was under what pressure to perform and stuff. Right now, they're on a similar level and they have similar teammates, similar-ish, I would say. Vitality has slightly better lineup than the Falcons right now, but that can change in the future.
Yeah, of course.
That will leave less space for M0NESY to deliver frags after kyousuke or whoever joins Falcons, right? And that might be a disadvantage. And obviously, Vitality is a better team right now. They proved it, and ZywOo is still number one together with Donk, I guess, when it comes to the player skill. But M0NESY coming in as an underdog in this kind of matchup, having the same amount of frags, even 13 maps more, same amount of average frags per map, for me is insane if you compare it with ZywOo, right? And then M0NESY also didn't play for Falcons at the beginning of the year. He played with G2, which was a terrible team. It still is right now. So that was his disadvantage. Now he's in a better team, so I think he will deliver even more. It's an interesting take. You have to admit it, right? It's not a hot take, but it's an interesting.
I don't know if it's that interesting. I'm kind of lost still on what the point is.
I feel like, yeah, like I almost feel like
And he was just
more frags. That's the point.
Yeah, but that's why I asked if there was like an input. Like, what does this imply? Because to me, like, first of all, I already had that meme of the fucking like that woman with all the like pi sign and the sigma, like all the fucking numbers he was throwing around.
That he will pull or put more numbers than ZywOo during the year.
Does that make him better? Where's the hot take?
No, it doesn't make him better. No, it doesn't make him better. He's just going to have better numbers. That's all.
Right, Maui, your reaction to the hot take that M0NESY will have more frags fucking hard. What's your
I
reaction?
thought it's going to be like an easy one. Shut up.
Okay.
Well, I think kills per map is just kind of a weird stat. I feel like it's kills per round is something that we can grasp onto, but it almost feels like I almost feel like it's true that M0NESY will have more kills per map because Falcons is in a lot of closer games than ZywOo. Like, the amount of times Vitality just win 13-5 and then ZywOo ends up with 14 kills is just, it's happening pretty regularly now, whereas M0NESY and Falcons are having to fight through these, like, 13-11, then they have to play map 2, 11-13, then they have to play map 3, 13-10 games, whereas Vitality, sometimes they just win a series 13-5, 13-5. So I totally expect that M0NESY is going to have more kills. It's just a strange thing to pick on. I feel like it doesn't say anything to me about the skill of either player. It doesn't. I'm not sure if I'm really grabbing onto it and I'm gonna like make a big claim about it. Like I want stats that I'm like kills per round or damage per round. If there was like a M0NESY will have 10 more damage per round by the end of the year than ZywOo, I'm like, what the fuck? But then when it's like he's gonna have more kills per map roughly, I'm just like, yeah, the games go longer.
Also like,
go longer.
No, the last 20 maps they had 1 13-5.
Okay.
They had
okay.
3-13-6.
So they are smashing people sometimes. I just still find it a little bit odd. Like I feel like if anything, ZywOo gets more eco kills for me. Like I mean, it's not like he's the eco fragger on Vitality, but he does run with a rifle a lot on T sides, whereas M0NESY is holding the line, throwing flashbangs, whereas ZywOo gets to be a little bit more in the action. So I think ZywOo's gonna have more kills at the end of the year.
To me, it's just a nothing. It's because it's not connected to an opinion. I don't get even what the point of it is. Like, okay, there's my answer. Okay. And so, those are the 3 words I have for you. So, because here's what I don't get. I thought he was going to now tie this, Maui, into some idea of like, that's because M0NESY's more proactive and he takes the game to the opponent and, in a losing effort, he'll sort of claw back more and he'll fight harder, whereas ZywOo sort of lets the game come with the flow of the game and sometimes, as a result, he's a bit quieter or he wakes up later. Because also, the other thing is as well, like, this is why I asked specifically, like, is it comparable maps though? Like, if you were taking the map part out, you could have hidden within there a secret hot take, right, which would be that, like, actually Falcons seem to have a way harder time closing maps out, don't they? In fact, by the way, they literally did this the other day. They basically had a map fucking won and then they blew it right at the end. Like, there's loads of times I've seen them get to 11, 12 rounds and then bleed away rounds, whereas the difference is Vitality tends to close that game, and actually Vitality can 2-0 a lot more. There's a lot more 2-1 maps for series scores rather for Falcons. So whatever. If we were doing that angle, there's something there, but whatever. It's whatever. It's all good. Here's the thing. I'll tell you what you did do, Kassad. You did open your mouth. You did say words. We did respond to them 10 minutes in on. Now let's actually get on with the show, shall we? Just fucking hot take, shall we? Jesus Christ. You know what? I've got a hot take. And this is a hot take, bear in mind everyone else's opinion about this player. First of all, I will actually point out a rare instance. You know what? You know people do that thing where they go, rare W, but they're always some pipsqueak, nobody shithead who knows nothing. And you go, one, I don't need W's from you. You're an idiot. And two, obviously, I don't just always get everything wrong. But this is a rare example of a rare W. It's going to be a rare HLTV Professor W. Because I saw, actually, he made a tweet, I actually thought was pretty good, where what he talked about was the idea that, you know, this big battle over how you're supposed to say kyousuke or kyousuke, and don't say kyousuke, right? Everyone's argument is don't say kyousuke because it's a Japanese name. But actually, Professor has a rare W. He's Russian. You think he knows how to fucking say Japanese pronunciation? Of course he doesn't. So, one, apparently kyousuke just said say whatever you want. You can say kyousuke, you can say kyousuke, whatever. So you pick what you want. Anyway, here's the hot take for you. I actually think kyousuke will be nowhere close to donk. Not as in, like, he won't be... No, he won't even be close. Like, in fact, I actually think, this is my new take on that whole topic, I don't think it's as simple, Maui, as the angle of, like, does it mean if Spirit sells him that he's actually not that good and that he's, like, overrated and they're sort of baiting everyone? Or does it mean they don't believe he's necessary for their team and they can do it without him? I actually think there's a third option. And the third option is this. Here's why I think they're selling him without putting him in their roster. Because my take went between the two of those. My take was, why not take a season and have him on your team? And then if you decide he doesn't fit, you sell him, right? Here's essentially the point, Maui. Because I don't think he actually will be anywhere near donk. I think you have to sell him now, sight unseen at tier 1 lands, because the second he actually plays, you're going to realise he isn't donk. And if you look at the price tag on this guy, you're basically selling him off the hype he is the next donk. You're doing the, like, head trick is the next M0NESY and we have M0NESY at home angle that NIP got tricked on. Like, you're basically going to make extra. Like, here's the thing. This player, realistically, based on what I've seen and thinking about the fact that if you take donk out of the equation, what's a reasonable expectation for even a very skilled rookie, someone who plays his type of role? Because remember, there's no one's ever played that role the way donk has. Even NiKo doesn't. NiKo relies on being more polished and calming and mid-round. Like, nobody can play the aggressive rifle role the way donk can. So being as, I don't think there'll ever be another donk. By the way, sometimes I don't even believe there is a donk. I keep watching him. It's like, God, it's like, oh my God, is that what's going on? I actually can't even believe how good he is. So my take is this. I actually think that Spirit has tricked us all into making the narrative, is he the next donk or isn't he? Where is it? Yet so far, he hasn't shown us that. And I think he'll actually be closer to, even if he's really good, he'll just be like what Axile was or what Exertion is now, which is certainly no slouch. That's still a really good player. That's a star player. But you notice it's not a donk, though. It's not the player you'd instantly play like 1.5 million for without ever seeing him on a tier 1 land. So that's my take. I think kyousuke will be nowhere close to donk.
Yeah. You want to go or what?
Yeah, I'll do it. First of all, do you think this is a better take than mine?
It's way better take. Way better take.
You just said that. Oh yeah, kyousuke is not better than donk. Yeah, that's obvious, man.
No.
Like,
I said he won't. I said he won't.
Yeah,
No. I did.
Nobody is.
Maui,
going
one
to
second.
be
One second.
close to
Pause. Pause.
5 years.
Pause. Maui. Was my hot take kyousuke is not better than donk? Was that my hot take, Maui?
He's not going to be
close. Notice how different. Notice the chasm between he's not going to be close to donk and he is not better than donk. By the way, do you know why kassad kyousuke is not better than donk? Wasn't my hot take. Nobody in the world ever said that opinion. Nobody in this human race ever said that, even Spirit. But I do think you can disagree with this, by the way. I do think the perspective of fans, hence why the discussion is Spirit's hinting if they give away. They're acting like you are giving a second donk to like your rival, for example. They're acting like you're giving a donk to Falcons, so now you're going to lose. Like, so anyway, go back, reload your take.
You said that. You said.
Yeah.
Let's
go on.
Again. Say that.
Let's do the thing where you told me what I said. Go on.
He's not going to be close to donk.
Yep.
Is that what you said?
Do you agree?
And that's your hot take.
Do you agree?
Yes, I agree.
Welcome to the hot take. You just joined me on the hot take there.
Do I agree? Do I agree that's a hot take?
Kassad, this is a new feeling for you. I know that agreeing with us makes you think it must not be a hot take. Believe it or not, you could actually agree with some of our hot takes.
No. Am I agreeing that that's a hot take, or am I agreeing that he's not going to be like donk? What
I don't even know at this point in time. You keep talking and I'll figure it out.
All right. So, first of all, that's a pretty mild.
Yeah, well, it would be, wouldn't it? Oh, listen,
Whatever.
I get the feeling because I shut down your dog shit frags take, all my takes are going to be bad
No,
this
it's
episode.
not about. It's not about.
all good.
It's not
all
about
good.
revenge.
It's all
It's not
good.
about revenge. I serve it cold.
Listen,
if I
it's
need
going to be even worse later when my hot take is the only reason BC game's good is because you're not involved. That's not even a take. It's just a mean
They were
comment.
dead. That would make sense if they were not dead last.
It's a joke. It's just a joke. It's just one of those mean jokes you say to people you love.
No,
That's all.
seriously, listen.
on.
The fucking Kyosuke angle. First of all, I don't know why you mentioned Professor and his interpretation of his fucking nickname. Who cares? Is it Kyosuke or Kiyosake or whatever, right?
Okay.
The bottom
I was trying to
line-
give him a red W since I do shot the guy, but fair enough. Okay, Kassad,
Even-
you're right. Okay.
Listen, even if he was good as Donk, right? Let's assume that in some fucking
Okay.
crazy scenario. He won't be getting the space as Donk does. Everything in Spirit is happening around Donk.
Sure.
He's in the center of everything that's going on in that team. He gets all the positions, all the prime positions, all the fucking... The whole structure is set up around him.
Sure.
If you look at their demos, if you look at their games, just scroll to rounds. You will see how the people move, what is being thrown for him, how does the people around him move, and what do they do, and like mid rounds and end rounds and early rounds. Yes, he is fucking good, and he deserves that. That's a different fucking point. But Kyosuke is not gonna get even close to that, simply because you have NiKo as number one there, who is getting all those same spots, except for maybe Anubis.
Yeah, sure.
Where I think Donk plays connector or K, we want to call it, and NiKo plays middle on the CT, stuff like that, right? And then the others, and Ancient probably, I think there's a middle / K kind of difference. But on top of that, you have M0NESY, who is, like Maui said at the beginning of the round, he throws a lot more flashes than, ZywOo would, for that matter.
Sure.
But he's heavily involved in everything that's going on the CT side. On the T side, he's a little bit more supportive, but still, he's heavily involved, and he takes a lot of resources from the team, right? And he takes a lot of space, and he deserves it the same way as NiKo, same way as Donk. So Kyosuke coming in, he should be getting the same amount of space that Magus gets or Bit gets in their teams, right? That means almost to nothing. So with almost to nothing space, you can do a lot of good work on the CT if they come at you, if you clutch and close rounds, if you rotate properly like Zipnix did back in the days, or Flasha did back in the days, or a bunch of these players like that kind of define those roles and, the understanding how to play alone pretty much on the CT side. On the T side, you will just be a bitch. A bitch that goes in first, throws all of the util first and just go in, or just wait until somebody does something because it's preset, and then you get to play. You won't get in nearly enough numbers to somebody to say, oh, this guy is good as Donk. They might get to say this guy is good as Bit. They might get to say this guy is good as Magisk was in Astralis. Or any other anchor that's, Robs for that matter, right? Robs is a little bit more mobile than a classic standard anchor. But that's the far you can go if you're Kyosuke coming into Falcons. If you're Kyosuke coming into NIP, or MOUZ or Liquid, right?
Yeah.
Just like international team, that's the point, right? Let's say Liquid.
Like if you put him in Nertz's place in Liquid, basically.
Yes.
Right.
Then you get all the fucking thing, and then you show me you will get the good IGL, I guess. You will get the good organizations behind you, stuff around you, and then you can see that you can become the next Donk. Otherwise, even if he is, we won't get to see it. There is just no way to see it. Unless they kick NiKo and put Kyosuke on that spot.
All right, then I'll expand my take.
Not kick from the team, just remove him to...
Even if you did what you're saying, even if he had a Legion spot in phase, I think he still wouldn't be Donk.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, funnily enough, Duncan, I think I was thinking the similar way.
Okay.
That they might be hyping up his stock, presenting him as the next Donk, just to see, and then if he's the next Donk, and why then doesn't he go to Spirit for a season?
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe it's because, like you said yourself, maybe it's because they don't think he's that good enough to be there, and might as well sell him at the highest possible peak to the highest bidder, and just take the money and move on.
Yeah.
That's a reasonable. Yes, it's a little bit gray zone, but if it's business. Do you mean he obviously has qualities, but not donk qualities?
No.
Like, it's just clear. Like, you can see what donk does.
It's why, if you notice the players I picked, I'm not dissing him. Like, I'm saying he would have been like the old Cloud9 Axile or like fucking Exertion. They're really good players, but they're nowhere near
Also,
donk.
like, I'll tie it to my number comparing to donk, to my thing.
Fucking
Like,
course.
sorry. But it's not like directly, it's just about the numbers. 20.3 frags for donk, averaging on the map on the highest level of CS. It's fucking mental. Like, nobody does that. NiKo right now is at 16.3.
By the way, as a quick aside, shout out to the ZywOo fans who are incapable of proceeding without doing exactly the hypocritical behaviour they call everyone else out for. Because you know they always say, Maui, that we have the take. Never had this take ever, never been said out of our mouths ever, that like ZywOo's the biggest choker ever and he always fails in all playoff matches. That is literally how the ZywOo fans describe donk. They always go, yeah, but he actually has quite a lot of bad games. It's like, I've said this last year, but I'll say it again. Donk's bad games are so rare, we all know them off by heart and can instantly reference them. And the joke is, most of the time, it's not even a whole series. It's like one map and then he giga smurfs the next two. Like, it's actually, you guys are doing exactly what you say we do about ZywOo. You're doing that.
The problem with like criticism about donk, ZywOo and Simple for that matter. Like, they set up so many abnormal standards. Remember Simple and his fucking numbers? Like, in the shit that he did. Now everybody's like, even if he has a good game, it's a shit game. Simple is washed. Like, what the fuck do you expect him to have 47 frags every map?
They always do, you're right. Yeah, they do.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy. Like, the same thing with donk. Like, 20 frags per map on a highest level constant.
Even the Vertigo even the Vertigo Kerrigan surprise picked at Copenhagen, donk almost dropped 180.
Yeah, he was smurfing it.
It wasn't his fault they lost. It was the other players on the team.
And also, by the way, I totally agree, because in Simple's first actual series he played at this IEM, like, they lost, right, because it was against TL. And all I remember was people going, see, he's just not as good. And then I looked and he had like 0.8 KDR in the match. Like, bro, like, what more do you want him to do? Like, you actually did just want him to drop a 50 bomb every game. Like what the I agree with you, because the expectation, by the way, the expectation of all these players are way too far. It's why, if you notice, one of my most consistent takes about ZywOo since his first year as a pro is, I actually think this is where idiots will never listen to what I say. I critique ZywOo because you compare him to the best player ever. If you just compare ZywOo to every other player, I always said from 2019 on, it's actually really unfair what is expected of ZywOo in his teams. Like, the actual production numbers he had to have, basically until he got the roster with Spinks, were totally unfair. Like, essentially, he had to have a 1.4 rating or he couldn't win the game. Like, that nobody in CS should have that. That's actually abusive to even expect that of any player.
Man, I just want to add before we leave the Maui, just about Simple. Like, I watched Dallas and I felt so shit after the loss because I wanted to watch more.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why, but Simple playing there just gave me additional, like, I don't want to say motivation, but like a desire to watch more CS, simply because he was there.
Put it this way, in a weird way, this actually did work to hype the major more, because crucially, because skullz didn't play very well and did look like when he was in TL and he looked a bit scared, quite frankly, if anything, it just made you think, mate, let's just reload this whole tournament, but put Raid in there, which is going to be the major. Who the fuck's not going to watch that? That's going to be box office. Like, that actually has the chance to be really exciting, yeah.
They don't lose that heroic game 100%.
I don't think so, no.
No chance. No chance.
Yeah, okay. I can just get into my next take, because you kind of already mentioned you lightly mentioned it there.
Yeah, go for it then.
Okay.
Oh, by the way, quickly, what was your take on the donk thing? Just do that quickly, the kyousuke one. What's your take on that?
Oh, I mean, I think that, quickly, I don't think kyousuke is as good in terms of the macro or his, like, ideas in a round always, because I feel like it's kind of doing the same thing. In what I've seen, it seems like he kind of just goes for the same starters a lot. I just haven't seen the versatility, but that also might just be my fault of not watching enough games. But if I watch a game of him on CT side, he's just gonna probably start in the same 2-3 spots. So the versatility isn't there yet. I mean, I think kyousuke and donk are ushering in this era of guys that have really mastered the micro of CS2, understanding all the times you're supposed to, like, tap crouch, like all the slides you're supposed to do, like the crouch uncrouch in the middle of a fight. They're making fights seem so messy, but kyousuke's aim is it's just crazy. I feel like also I've seen now enough times that in the last couple of years that the rifler jump up from tier 2 to tier 1 isn't that bad. I feel like the opper jump is really where you've made this take a million times, Thorin, that you really get the separation between who are the tier 2 farmers with the op versus the tier 1 true opper, like really great ones. And so I still think he's going to be a star. Like I would make the easy. I don't know if this is a hot take, but he's going to be top HLTV top 20 in his first year in tier 1. I don't think there's really. I don't have much of a question on that one. But is he going to be as good as Donk? Like, I don't think there's going to be another Donk for a while. Even if kyousuke is copying a lot of what Donk's doing, I just don't think that anybody can maintain that with consistency. I feel like also one thing about Donk that kyousuke doesn't seem to have right now, at least I haven't heard enough, is that the mindset. You know, Donk enters every game almost like it doesn't matter, and it's kind of been annoying in terms of narrative building, but he actually thinks, he's like, I don't care about this. You know, I just want to win. I want to do better. I haven't heard the same kind of lines from kyousuke, and he can speak English, but maybe I'm just not hearing enough interviews from him.
The one thing that I didn't like when it comes to Donk, but I wrote it off as him being just a kid, right? The attitude and the body language and demeanor after that final in Astana, right? All of them looked like fucking, like they didn't win. Like they were the ones that lost.
Well, I mean, what's gonna happen? You either win that and you do what you're supposed to, or you lose that and you failed the tournament. So that's just winning that to me would have just felt like relief.
No, but I don't. What Maui means basically is, and I get it. To them, because they know those other 3 teams are above them, they didn't feel like they won. They just felt like they held serve in tennis analogy. You know what I mean? Like that's just what they were supposed to do.
Still, the trophy's a trophy.
Yeah, I agree. No, here's the thing, Kassad.
That's
that's where he's too young. Because here's the problem, Kassad.
Yeah,
if he'd have actually had like the NiKo career, where you start out in a dodgy mouse sports team, mate, to win a trophy's enormous. Then any trophy, you take a blast, you go for it. But the problem is, to Donk, remember his first tournament, he was like, oh, cool. Kind of victory. Even when Black Bet Boom was on, but like, he doesn't know that actually like being in the final and winning is always a big deal. I don't care that the other 3 aren't there, mate. Like you always celebrate a fucking win, I'm with you.
You know what Bill Belichick said, like when I think it was like it wasn't the Super Bowl, it was the conference finals. Okay. I think they beat whoever, right? And they said like they played a terrible game, but they still won. They said like, listen, this wasn't good, but it was better than what they had.
Right.
And that was
enough. That's a good line. That's a good line.
And that's what he said. It's like, we move on to the Super Bowl or whatever the fuck was it, right? It's a perfect thing to say, right? You didn't play well, but you still won. It was better than what they had, and you lift the trophy. Now you understand. If you are so upset, you probably understand, or you think you understand why you played bad or what needs to happen. You have enough time and fix it. Don't go around and just like cry about it or like act like but he's a kid, I guess, so that's forgiven.
Yeah, of course.
If he was like 20, 25, 26, 27, right, and still doing that it would be a problem. But 18 years old doing that's perfectly normal, as long as somebody addresses that and tell him, like, you are the best fucking player in the world, shut the fuck up, like, you won a fucking trophy, let's go, let's win 10 more, 15, 20, 50, whatever, right? So, but overall, nobody will, like, I think Maui said it nicely as well, that I don't think we're going to see another Donk in a while now.
Okay, I have a take. Because it's time to be negative about a guy that I've already been negative about for way too long. Okay, the take is simple. Skullz is actually just bad. And we need to let it go. We need to just let it go. We need to let it go. And I'm coining this term. We need to stop running the smile defense, okay? Because JKS got the same treatment when he was on the downturn for sure, too. That because he has a nice smile and a kind-looking face, people like, I mean, Kassad wrote something nice about skullz. Kerrigan wrote something nice about skullz. Everybody says he's a pleasure to work with and everything like that. But he's just bad, okay? If you look at the numbers,
like even in Furia, you could even in Furia.
He was bad in Furia too. Okay, let me just bring this one stat up that I feel like nobody noticed. Okay, skullz has played in CS2 14 big events. He has in CS2 on Liquid, in Furia, and with Just Phase. You know when you get a 1.05 rating in an event, you get a green rating.
Okay.
skullz has 0. He has 0 green ratings. Okay, he has never gotten a 1.05 a 1.05.
By the way,
in CS2.
That's the reason he's saying in CS2 was obviously in CSGO when he was on paid, he was actually pretty decent. But okay,
Yeah.
in
No, he got
CS2
one.
Right.
He only got one in CSGO.
Okay.
He only ever got one in CSGO, and it was that one ESL Pro League. He got one ESL Pro League with Pain where he had a green rating. All of the other big events, he's never gotten a green rating. He's only gotten one tournament ever where he had above a 1.00 kill death ratio in CS2. Okay? I don't care. Like, there's too many anchors now that do enough work that this is not good enough. He's like a tier 1.5, tier 2 farmer. Okay, if we want to move past the numbers to the eye test, he still lurks by holding 2 angles at the same time. He still puts himself in positions where he can get peeked from multiple spots, and then if he doesn't flick headshot them immediately, he just dies. Like, I don't know why am I seeing this at tier 1 play? Like, if you are a lurker in 2025 and you have not watched Rops lurk on every single map, you failed at your job. You are not a good worker. You're not a hard worker, because these are positioning errors that he consistently has. And he's not like he's setting up his team or anything like that. He's trying to hold space on the other side of the map, and then he just gets caught and dies. It's just like, what are we doing? Like, why is this okay? Because when he looks when he's sitting next to you and he smiles, you feel warm inside. Like, that's such a joke. That's such a joke. I'm so done with that. Okay. That's like, it's like the anti to the Blame F attack, where people are like, he's big, and they because they got bullied in high school by a guy that looks like Blame F, they want to hate him for so badly. Blame F is so objectively better than skullz. Like, he is 10 times the player that skullz is. On top of that, more eye test stuff is just like, okay, come on. He was selling that Mirage game up for.
He definitely
like,
did. He was also,
dude. He was selling that A bomb.
Like, they 100% would have won if he'd have even just held on that 1v2 bit. I know they would.
Yeah. He peaked on that 2v1. Yeah. Okay, beyond that, okay. There's more. I mean, it's just. He's made other little stats that I found. Okay, he's made the playoffs in 4 LAN tournaments. That's including CS:GO and CS2. Not once in any of the series did he put up even a 1.00. Like, he's been like he's had like the best ADR he's ever had in a playoff series is 67 ADR. Okay, that's terrible. Like, why are the excuses keep coming out for this guy because he has a good smile. It got to the point where literally Kerrigan wrote in quotes, his positive mindset and the smile he gave me during games improved me as a leader. You know what'll help? He's running the smile defense. The smile defense is crazy. So yeah, no.
I just love the idea, bro, that like Kerrigan, literally, like at this point in time, the fucking avatar of IGLing itself, the godhead of the ultimate level of experience and top level of knowledge, and the idea he turns around, he looks, right? He sees 1 second skullz just smile at him, and then he goes, I just leveled up 1% as an IG. Shut the Kerrigan, that is whack, bro. I love you, but that is whack, mate. Just say he's a cool guy. Don't say he improved as an IG.
He wanted to support the guy that has a.
All right, you know what, Kassad? He's right. Actually, you know what? I realized he's right though, because you know why Kerrigan was improved by skullz as an IGL? Because he realized how to IGL 4v5. You did it, Kerrigan. You threw me the alley-oop, bro. I'll just do the 360 through the leg slam dunk. I'm Jason Richardson. Old reference, 20-year-old reference, whatever. All my references are 20 years old. We all know that. That young player, Jason Richardson, probably retired now.
Like 7 years ago.
I know.
I know.
The thing is, like...
Do you agree? Does skullz suck? Does skullz suck, Kassad?
I have to, like, semi-disagree or I don't even fully disagree. Like, I let's say I agree that he's not a tier 1 player.
Okay.
I agree with that. I'll tell you that. Because obviously, like, we saw it in different... I just disregard the face thing, right? But we saw it in Liquid, and then the excuse was like this and that, the environment. We saw it in Furia, the Brazilian team, and then all of a sudden nothing, and then now standing in here. He obviously has some shortcomings, right? Is he a bad player? No. I don't think he's a bad player at all. Obviously, he wouldn't be getting those opportunities just because he has a nice smile. By the way, what the fuck is that? Has a nice smile and a smile defense. Like, he could be butt-ass ugly, like, or the most
But people wouldn't rate him. You wouldn't say he's okay. You wouldn't say he's nice.
Now, to answer your other argument, saying, like, the double angles on the lurk, watch Robs, but why are we blaming him for that? Why is that?
Because he's done it with 3 consecutive. He did it on Pain too. He did it with Pain too.
It was supposed to be, I guess, a rhetorical question, but it's all good. Keep going.
It was a rhetorical. Like, why is he not fucking, taught that by somebody who was there to teach those things? and tell him like, listen, when you are in a position like this, you can be open to 2 angles. When the timing is this, you need to be back. You need to use the smokes here, molly there, whatever the fuck. He's 23. He's not 37. And even though he can watch demos and maybe he doesn't fucking understand. You think that fucking Scottie Pippen or Luke Longley understood that triangular offense all by themselves? No. There was Phil Jackson and the coaching staff who taught them, like, this is how we move the ball, this is how we do things, and this is where you follow these things. And then he fucking, the dumbass that he is, he learned that, right?
I just appreciate that kassad actually makes my references seem relevant because these are all from the 90s in basketball. Like, at least I'm trying to hit the 2000s.
The reason, Duncan, why I did the triangle offense is because everybody watched The Last Dance and they understand what I'm saying, right? I can't fucking go tiki-taka in the fucking Barcelona and shit, right? But the point stands. Somebody needs to tell him those things. Sit with him and tell him those things. Hey, buddy, listen. This angle, this fucking lurk, this position, this, you can't be playing like that. 2v1, it's absolutely his fault on fucking ramp. But this was straight from fear. This is he played. I don't want to sell out Simple. What if he kills Simple first, and then he kills me, and then I'm going to peek, and he probably didn't tell Simple he's going to peek, and then he peeked and died, and the guy killed Simple. That's lack of confidence. He was in fucking fear for his life there. You can see it on his face. But I don't blame him for this face thing. He probably got called up in like last meme and they just said, sit next to Simple and play Counter-Strike and be an anchor against the fucking top teams and the, whatever teams, right? Yeah, do you think that's fucking easy after being on a break and on a bench and not playing competitive Counter-Strike? No, it's not fucking easy. Did he fuck up? Yes. Can he be a tier 1 player? No. Can he be in a decent team? Yes. But somebody needs to work with this kid. And what do you call it? The performance coach.
Yeah, sports psych, yeah.
Yeah. And then a proper coach who can, instead of like, clapping and whatever the fuck doing, tapping on the shoulder and laughing with him together, just fucking sit with him. And go through that fucking game. And then you have probably 10, 15, 20 examples where he's open on the lurk. I'm using your example, right? And say, like, listen, you can't play like this. We have to, when you're in his straight, and then if he doesn't learn, then you are basically fucking right, Maui. He is a terrible player. But we don't know if that's it. That's why I commended him on Twitter, because I understand his situation. Right? Coming in as a stand-in, imagine if you watch that guy Simple play for the last 15 years. And then all of a sudden, like, you sit next to him and it's supposed to play. Like, we also don't know how Simple is nowadays. Did he tell him, like, hey, you fucking idiot, did you fucking, God knows, right? So we need to understand. And the smile, even who gives a fuck if he is a nice smile or bad smile or whatever the fuck, right? If he is bad, we tell him he's bad. But overall, I wouldn't say that he's terrible. I'm saying he's not ready for tier 1. He probably will never be, but to call him straight up bad, I think he's far from that.
Here's the problem. As usual, I will forever be the fuck. Go on.
Wait, 1 second. Wait, he's not ready for tier 1, but he's not bad. He never will be. He's not ready for tier 1. He never will be, but
he may never will be. He may never will be.
I think my answer will actually explain kassad, as usual. I'm the only one who can translate from his fucking rambunctious Serbian style. So here's the answer, Maui. I know what kassad means, but it's why actually, in a weird way, I agree with you, but I know what kassad means. So classic style. So here's what I will say. What I think is, first of all, actually one of the biggest blows against him is that when I looked him up, he is 23 years old. Like, in my brain, I thought of this guy was like 21 or something. I thought he was like quite young, because remember, he was very inexperienced when he was in Pain, and that was actually the era when he hadn't played many lands either. Like, the time when they were going to pick him up at TL, it was one of these ones where you gamble on an unproven player and you're just hoping he'll become more, right? Obviously, he never did. In fact, the biggest problem is, outside of the Brazilian teams, he just looks worse. So here's where I sort of agree with Maui, and I do agree with kassad. Like, if he is the player he has been in Liquid and in FaZe, and you just put him in a random team, I actually agree with kassad. He's not a tier 1 player and he'll never make it. Here's the problem, though. I think I know what kassad means, which is, I do think when I saw this player that he actually, especially early on, I thought actually his aim was pretty decent. And then when I saw him used in Pain by Big Azera, he actually looked like he had potential. So essentially, I think I know what kassad means. Because he's a coach, he's seeing it as like, if you had the right coach and the right IGL and the right support network, and they sort of understood this guy's weaknesses and essentially coached him through the things he's doing wrong, he could be a better player. The problem is, though, that's not typically what people judge your ability as a player. They judge it like, today, if I just put you in a team, how would you do? I think he'd do quite poorly, as you were saying. And I do think in this case, even though, yes, I imagine he came in last minute, blah, blah, blah. Listen, Carragher's not the guy who's ever going to tell you, you're going to be the bitch and get all... Like, that's not even a thing in his teams, as far as I can tell. So I actually do think it's not a good sign that you could only, as far as I can tell, play under, like, Fallen and Bigazera or something. So that's not a great sign, I will say that. I don't expect to ever see him in an international team again. Because I agree, that particular game, that heroic Mirage game, it was a screamer. He had some really bad fucking moments in that one where it's like...
Killed his stock completely. And
especially because they lost it. If they'd have won, you could maybe forget it. But now they lost.
You said like he needs a right coach, right IGL, and that idea about IGL. Right now, what IGLs are doing and have been doing in the past, something that pissed me off the most. One of the biggest things that pissed me off about IGLs, when they see something wrong, they complain to fucking either other players or the coach. Oh, why is this guy doing that? Why is this guy doing this? Did you see how he fucking... Well, why don't you go to the fucking teammate? He plays in your team. Like, and this thing with skullz, like if he had a coach, any coach, right? I'm not counting Neo because he jumped in but they had a coach in Liquid, they had a coach in Furia, they had sit with him because most of you are on the same continent, right? And then you can go into boot camps and your facilities, sit with him in front of the PCs, you have your analyst, pull out all of your fucking rounds, and you don't do it in front of the whole team, where the whole team is sitting there and watching you fail. You sit with him alone, and the analyst if you have one, and just go, you'll see this situation. Right now we call this, you have the team comms. Right now we call this, but you were 3 seconds late. Can you tell me why were you late? And just try to explain and then make him understand that he needs to be faster in those situations, because him being late is going to make us late for the B split, which will end up being the bad call overall and we lose the round. And that he can explain, hey, listen, I fucked up there, or I thought I had the timing to kill this guy, and then you understand each other and you improve him as a player. Rather than just like blame him, not say anything, the guy sits in fear, without any confidence, without anything, just wait to be kicked. Of course he's gonna be bad. What do you expect? He's gonna be shit. He's gonna be fucking dead as a player. So those are the problems that we don't address in Counter-Strike. We just get rid of the players so easily. I can name 10 other players that got rid of so easily because nobody pays attention to that. Everybody's just back-channeling, gossiping, and they want to bring their
Here's the counterpoint, though.
Team.
The problem is, this is why international teams on some level have ruined Counter-Strike and players' development to the top level. Because when you have an international squad, you don't have to develop that player, kassad. You can just get someone who doesn't have that issue. If this was like, I have to only work with people from my... Like, for example, the Mongols can't do that, mate. They haven't got 500 players to get. If Senzu has issues on stage, you better figure it out. There is no other player to bring in. That's actually one of the areas where... But here's the problem. My answer to you would be they don't have to figure that out. They just get someone else. But it sucks for the player.
And also, you can expect those players to learn this by themselves as well. Like, you can expect and demand for them to learn the smokes they need, and the flashes they need. Right, that must be done by them. So I can't do that.
No, that's fair.
But if you don't understand the flow of the round, if you don't understand the timings, that's something that can be taught. Or if you cannot teach them, then you eliminate them from the team and look for an upgrade. But right now, people are just looking for upgrades all over the place, asking their friends to join because they had a good, nice conversation at the bar while fucking both of them are out of the tournament. You know? And they're back-channeling between each other and just talking shit, and then they smile at your face, but they talk shit behind your back and just like circling around like fucking sharks and just eating each other like piranhas and shit. It's just fucking mess. That's why many of these teams fucking fail. And that's why there is a couple of teams at the top, and then we can recognize the proper players from the shit ones. That's it.
We're getting the experience, Maui, of having a really stern and abusive Central European father at this point in time, because he does that thing where when we're talking on our points, he just pops straight in like Kramer and starts fucking going. And then if we like say one thing, he's like, shut the fuck up, I'm not finished, shut your fucking mouth. Oh, fucking hell, someone get his fucking Porsche or whatever. That's actually East European, but whatever, it's all that. I don't even know what food you eat or whatever, chivapi or some shit. You know, who knows, whatever it is you eat. That suckling pig. We're enough about dust. Whatever. Shout out Simple. He did that. That was a reference to Simple's comment. I didn't make that up. That was an iconic, simple comment. By the way, still one of my favourite, completely inappropriate strays of all time. Because I'll remind you, Simple, Doss never said you're less noobs, but you thought he did. So you opened the stream and just went, "Who is this pig?" I was like, "Mate, that's still the most egregious response to someone who never did anything wrong." And the sad thing is, Doss, is it's a way more funnier that it was you, unfortunately. Like if it had been someone else, that wouldn't be as iconic. That's iconic as fuck. Anyway, I think we do a fan take now. Get ready. This is right up Kassad's angle. Just get ready, Maui. I actually low-key love the fans who submit takes at this. So remember, by the way, guys, if you don't want to say your username, write it in the comment. Wes says MEZII is a better big game player than NiKo. Right, get ready, Kassad. Buckle in, bro, buckle in. So these are the reasons. He's given 4 reasons. So reason 1, MEZII is beating NiKo's rating in 4 out of 5 maps in the Melbourne final. 2, he is put in much harder positions to gain rating compared to NiKo's freedom. 3, higher impact frags in the anchor position. 4, NiKo was considered a much better player and given a ton of freedom to frag, yet MEZII pretty much matches his ratings versus top 10 in much harder positions. Thoughts?
What's his name?
Wes.
Yeah, I mean, that's such a stupid name. It comes with this fucking stupid take. He probably like a 10-year-old child that I just called stupid. Anyway, but the thing is...
Get him. Eat this 10-year-old kid alive. Go on.
It's just crazy. But the thing is, like, there's so much nonsense in, like, space of, 35 words that he posted? Like, NiKo has played good in more big games than MEZII attended events. Let's just put it like that. MEZII has been on the scene since the Cloud9 Colossus thing, and then he was a little bit Fnatic, he was a little bit there, then he managed to get, quarterfinals with Fnatic in Rio, I think? And then he got bought by Vitality, and now he's, playing in this championship team. NiKo has been on the highest level of CS in 2015, since he joined MOUZ Sports. Just imagine how many big games, big events, trophies he won by playing good on the big games, right? Show me a big game that MEZII overtook and won by himself, or actually contributed more than 60% of impact. Just one game. Since he joined professional Counter-Strike scene. Since Fnatic or whatever the fuck, right? 0. In the big games, whenever his team played, who was the main character? ZywOo, Spinks, Robs.
Basically everyone except him.
Yes.
That's really the answer, isn't it? Yeah.
Does he do his job very well? Absolutely. Is he a important part of that fucking team right now? Yeah. On his role. And then he mentioned that he has an anchor role. And you answered yourself. Anchor role is a role that basically plays for the team. That basically just allows your star players to have that freedom that you talk about that NiKo has. Or Robs, or, not Robs, but other those type of players in donks and stuff. Right? Your Zontics, your Magics, your, those players... They hold or create or, create presence or create space and create opportunities for your star players to deliver. That's why they're called star players. The same way you have, Maui as an analyst. He is a star of the show on the fucking broadcast together with a couple of people. And then you have people with turned on cameras. Without turned on cameras, Maui would just be a fucking potato standing looking at a turned off camera. So the support crew is doing good work for Maui to be able to fucking do his job on the broadcast. The same way goes in Counter-Strike, in basketball, in football, in every fucking sport or any kind of business whatsoever. Right? Somebody needs for you to make a fucking phone call, somebody needs to make sure that the fucking receiver is working so you can have the fucking connection and network, right? So you can make that. So the same way works, the same principle. As an anchor, you cannot be measured by big games. Tell me any anchor outside of Robs and possibly Bit right, who are out of their league and out of this fucking planet when it comes to skill, that can play ops, especially robs, that can play fucking anchors, that can play star rolls, that can play pistols, they can clutch, they can do whatever the fuck.
Sure.
Who can do it? Nobody. That's why they're the best. And MEZII is a part of it, but he's a bigger player than NiKo in big games, not in a million fucking years. There can be only 2 or 3 players that are better or equal to him in the last 10 years. That's simple. That's ZywOo. Donk is coming to it. Device was there. Flasha
Maybe M0NESY will be one day.
M0NESY, yeah. Flasha was there in the past, always good in the big games. Ziptik was always good in the big games, not by numbers, but the moves, the clutches. Glay was always good. coldzera before Olof. Like, there are players that are really good in big games.
Sure.
Right now, no. But MEZII to be put there, I think this guy is just fucking drunk. For
Thoughts,
real.
Maui?
I mean, I don't see how anybody could with the fact that actually NiKo has won a lot of stuff lately too, or like, you know, especially with last year's G2 and everything. I don't, and with how Falcons are already performing now and how close they're getting. I don't know. The comparison to MEZII and NiKo in general is just kind of like, I don't know what they have in common other than they both just rifle. It's just so, being the 5th best player on a team versus the best or arguably 2nd best, depending on when M0NESY gets there, you know, it's just completely different shoes. And it's more like, for me, like MEZII, I don't know. In general, I just think the take is kind of whack. But like, if on a greater discussion, I think that the whole, I found this to be an interesting like post-event debate that a few of us had at a Blast event recently, where it was like Pimpin' Me on one side versus Launders, Scrawny, and I think Freya were on the other side, where we had this idea of like, would you rather be the best player on the 10th best team in the world or the 5th best player on the best team in the world?
Oh, classic,
And I Pimp and I both said we'd rather be the best player on the 10th best team in the world, because we want to it's almost like we have so much faith in our own abilities and just that belief that we'd rather be the stars, so that a lot of what's happening every game is dependent on us. Whereas if you're the 5th best player, like the line I think Pimp uses is like, you didn't win those trophies. You know, they won those trophies. Yep. You didn't win those trophies. You know, you were there. You were in the backpack, but then Launders, Free, and Scrawny were like, nah, I want to lift the trophies. And it's like, I think it gets kind of hollow a bit
Kinda
quicker.
Shit, Maui, right?
Huh?
That's kind of shit, what you said, right?
What?
Well, I don't think he's going to agree that his own opinion is shit, Kassad. So maybe use your words.
Wait, what do you mean? Yeah, what do you mean?
I'm saying that, like, you know, how would you rather be the number 1 player in the 10th team than the 5th best player in the number 1 team?
Okay,
like,
at the time we made.
Because he'd rather actually be the one that's the reason why the results are happening.
So you have a fucking main character syndrome.
No, it's like, okay, first of all, usually the best player on the 10th best team is like.
Put it this way, Kassad, let me give you this example. Let me give you this example, right? So, to be fair, when they had the Dexter lineup of Falcons, you could have argued that could have been the 10th best team in the world. This is literally the argument, Kassad. You'd rather be MEZII than NiKo by your own logic.
Yeah.
In the old Falcons.
No. How can you say that?
Literally.
That's what you just said.
Dude,
I would rather be MEZII than Nerds.
No. At the time, the thing is that even at the time that we were having this debate, Falcons was literally 10th on HLTV. Right. And so Pimp and I easily were like, oh yeah, we'd rather be NiKo. Yeah, we'd rather be NiKo at that time, because we believe that the team will get better around us, or like there's more mobility also in the future. Like, I'm not saying hard stuck there for 5 years. I'm saying
then it makes sense. If you want to be the number 1 player in the team instead, but going towards number 3, top 3, then I can understand it, right? That you want to.
It's not static.
That's where
we have faith. We have faith in our own ability that we're either going to get on better teams, or our team's going to get better around us.
Okay.
That's what I was going to ask you. Like, would you rather be Steve Kerr in 1996, right, than fucking Clyde Drexler?
or like Karl
Right.
Malone or something like that.
Put it this way, there's
Karl Malone got
probably
the
the,
final.
probably
Yeah,
the
not
most
the 10th best,
probably
yeah.
look, this isn't the 10th best one, but this is actually a classic NBA debate. It's actually the most famous player ever for this is Charles Barkley. What people say is, like, remember, think about inside the NBA. Would you rather be Kenny the Jet Smith, just a role player who got 2 rings, and you get to go, I have a ring? Or would you be Charles Barkley, like one of the most greatest players of all time, who has no rings, but we all know was better than Kenny the Jet Smith? Believe it or not, most people would say, I think, if they're in the modern day, would actually say be Kenny with the fucking rings. But I've never got it.
Absolutely.
I'm with you, Maui. I would always rather be Charles Barkley, be one of the best players ever. And if I didn't win, so be it. But I was the man, you know.
Yeah, I don't give a fuck about that.
Okay.
I mean, if I'm gonna be a part of the team that's gonna be successful and winning, I will fucking do whatever it takes. I'll be the Kenny whatever. I'll be the Charles Barkley, but the Robert Torrey or Steve Kerr or whatever the fuck you like. It's fine. If I contribute any way that I can, that people that are actually better than me can do their best. Who gives
Well,
a fuck?
I can actually say as a fact, a lot of people won't know, after seeing Kassad's playing career, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, yeah.
But this way, you think when he was playing with NiKo and Janko, he was the star. No, he was the one going,
No.
can I have a turn holding the trophy now at this dog shit Serbian tournament?
Listen, still, it was the beginning when I was playing. I was playing for
We
NiKo
got
to
him,
leave
lads.
the trophy.
We got him, lads.
NiKo and Janko to leave the trophy.
Of course. Yeah, we got him.
But
We got him.
The point stands, right? It's just I would personally, you know.
Anyway, Maui
but,
was making a point off this. So where was this going, Maui? I get the framing, but where does this go on this MEZII versus NiKo thing?
I mean, I don't really know. I mean, what the exact take again for it? I kind of lost it.
It was the idea that he had better ratings than NiKo in the Melbourne finals, that he's in harder positions, but he's getting a good rating. And then like NiKo's has all this freedom, but doesn't have better stats or some shit like that. Something like that.
That's that's just the most cherry picked thing ever. That's
it's a stupid take. Like these guys should leave.
But here's my take, because this is actually a meta take that isn't really specifically about these players. It's actually about how fans now you see. By the way, does this take not make you understand why I actually am really annoyed by the fact that people are obsessed with stats in CS? Because notice how the stats are leading the take, not complementing the take. So the problem here is one of the things he is doing one of the worst examples, and this is the worst thing about HLTV rating. HLTV rating might make some sense if you view role for role, and at least people who have similar styles of that role. Then you could compare them, and even then you'd have to look at who they played and what maps, and there's a million other. But notice, by the way, he doesn't consider what maps we play and what our team's good on and what we're not on. So one of the problems with this is you've used raw rating for a player on not just the best team in the world, but a team that is so insane it is inflating everyone's ratings, a la Astralis 2018, and you are then directly comparing, like it's a 1-for-1 number, like this is number of goals scored, with like a player who's way better by the eye test, but his team isn't quite as good, and especially wasn't until recently, until they got M0NESY. So my problem is this is one of the worst apples versus oranges comparisons I've seen, because what you're acting like is, first of all, notice an assumption you're making is that rating is identically uniform. So by his logic, when ZywOo gets a 1.05, that's the same as MEZII getting a 1.05. No. If MEZII gets a 1.05, he probably killed his role. If ZywOo gets a 1.05, he was probably shit in that game. Like, I know
they lost.
Yeah. And then similarly, a kill is not a kill. The kill that MEZII gets is not the kill that only NiKo could get out of NiKo and MEZII. You know what I mean? The difference is I could put NiKo in a scenario where MEZII would never get the kill and NiKo would get the kill quite often, and it doesn't matter to me at the end of the game if MEZII has more kills. And then lastly, I'll also throw this out there. Notice one of the flaws with what you just compared, my dude. You made an actual match where they played against each other. Shall I tell you a reason why NiKo could never have had necessarily as good stats? He wasn't playing with Vitality. Like, MEZII was playing on Vitality, NiKo was playing versus Vitality. By the way, that take will age very badly in the future when Vitality is considered like a top 10 team to ever play the game. Like, that's going to look really... Meanwhile, Falcons, who knows where they'll be. So, already that one doesn't make sense either. And then the last one I would say is this. Bro, that's really unfair using the Melbourne final. That was the first tournament they got M0NESY, and you played a full BO5, bro. Like, we haven't had time to crack all these fucking maps with the new player. Meanwhile, Vitality just has their real roster that's fully powered up. Give me a break. Like, you almost couldn't set this up to be worse for NiKo in this scenario. And then finally, the eye test doesn't check out anyway, even after saying all that. And what's funny about this one is, I'm a massive MEZII defender, but this is just so stupid. Because in this scenario, you're asking me to compare him to, like Kassad said, like, one of the, like, 4 most important players in Counter-Strike, even today. Like, MEZII isn't even in that convo. I can have the one of, like, he's doing a great job
Not
in his
even
role.
in the league.
No.
Like if he goes tomorrow and, like, doesn't play for 6 months, you think the CS will
just stop or something, or it will be fucking relevant or whatever. Like it won't.
Here's what he should have done. I actually think he fucked up because he expressed himself poorly. I think what he meant was, remember, the first sentence was, MEZII is a better big game player than NiKo. You should have said something like, MEZII is a better big game player solely relative to the role that he plays compared to the role that NiKo plays. As in, if you think NiKo, because that way, then it wouldn't be about having higher numbers, would it? It would be about the idea MEZII gets everything out of his role, and then NiKo maybe sometimes...
And that would also be
It'd still be a hard one. It'd still be a hard one, but at least that could...
But there are arguments. There are arguments. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Because there are games where NiKo in his role didn't deliver as much as the, Donk would or whatever.
The difference is that one's fairer.
delivers a lot on his role. I get it.
That one's fairer because
I learned the lesson.
We also don't expect as much of MEZII. So to me, MEZII's game is more about bring the floor up. NiKo's has hit the ceiling. I think you're asking a totally different thing. Essentially, by the way, I will give one quick analogy from history though. This is why I do think Astralis 28. Maybe this is the hot take. Astralis 2018 is literally overrated individually for exactly this reason. I always told people, bro, do you actually think you can take those Zipniks and Glaive fragging numbers out of that team and act like that would happen in every other squad, and that's just who they are as players? No. Like, one thing I always said is that Zipniks ended up, he went from being underrated to mega overrated, and I once did a video on this, because I pointed out, think about if you were Zipniks in that team. Remember, when you get to that clutch round, you have the best comms in the industry have commed everything to you. You're on the best tactical team where the IGL and the second IGL are comming everything that's happening in the round. You're also getting more damaged opponents you're facing in the 1vx than, like, simple on fucking a team where Zeus and Edward just sold him out down the river at the beginning of the round. Like, you're just getting so many extra things that will pump your percentages and your rating up. Whereas, like, the other guy doesn't get that who plays in a team that sucks who plays the same role. It's not one for one. So, anyway, as usual, that was one of those final ones that we all bag on. It's all good.
Yeah, it's shit one, and this guy should delete his...
Well, I don't know about that.
I'll just finish it up with one, because the Dallas is going on as we are recording this. We are pre-quarterfinals ish, and we might have one on take when that connects to Dallas, right? And I'm gonna do it.
Go on.
Vitality streak ends in Dallas, and MOUZ is the one that takes it and beat the whole thing
in the final.
Ooh.
So we're gonna beat him in the final. Okay.
In the full hot take is they're gonna beat them in the final. The semi-hot is the MOUZ is going to win the final.
By the way, I will say at the outset, this is already a bag of hot take because you are actually predicting MOUZ in a big arena beats Vitality in a BO5. Exactly. Okay, hit me with it. Give me the reasons. Hit me.
But let's get into the reasoning a little bit. Because I watched pretty much every game of Dallas simply because Simple made me do it. So even though
Gangster Rap made you do it, okay. Simple made me do it, okay, right. Well, can we get the kassad cover of that song? Simple made me do it, okay.
Simple made me do it.
Simple made me do it. No, but seriously, let's look at MOUZ. This event. MOUZ has started off against BC game, I believe. Yeah.
Yep.
And it was like a two halves that they played, one CT and one T-bet, but they completely destroyed them on the other half. It was like 4-8, 4-8, and then it was 9-1, 9-1. They had zero chance. Immediately after that, they played Liquid. I mean, I'm pretty sure you both watched that game. And that was just a one-way trash.
Yep.
Like Liquid, he had zero fucking chance. It was 13-2 on Train, 13-8 on Inferno. And then the last game against Falcons, you saw it yesterday or the day before, 13-4 on Dust 2. It was just like they just rolled through them. And 16-12 on that Mirage game, which Falcons should have won.
It was a big comeback.
It was a big comeback for 12-5, but that's going to propel them, to feel even better coming into the playoffs. They're playing, against the winner of Aurora Mongols, I think, right? So that's not going to be that difficult because both of these teams, we know they're struggling in certain situations. And we don't know who's going to win with those teams or, because both of them are playing terrible in the arena. Meanwhile, after the Vitality, after the Blast Rivals best of 5, you can see the fatigue of Vitality players a little bit. Yeah, I mean, it's a long fucking streak. It's a long expectation. Sure. It's a big expectation. It's a long fucking period of time where you are just constantly playing. Everybody's looking at you. They lost. Let me see. They lost their 2 maps there. Then they beat Legacy 13-11, 13-5. That first map was a little bit iffy, close one. Against Gamer Legion, I'm not sure if you watched it, but I watched both maps. Gamer Legion was playing well. They had it. But the experience, I guess, in those type of situations, those type of games, helped Vitality win. And then against Mongols in that seeding game, they lost the second map. They won the first map, and the third map was 13-11. You remember the last round and shit that happened. So it could have easily gone to Mongols' way. So you can see the cracks a little bit, and the fact that they are super tired right now. And you need to constantly reinvent things, new pistols, tweak your strategies a little bit, play a little bit different because you play those teams like 10 days ago and they know your moves. So you need to, and there's no time to practice. The traveling is there. So it's the perfect chance right now for MOUZ to use and take advantage of it. Even Falcons said that, but Falcons haven't been playing good themselves. They lost to, who did they lose? MOUZ, right? Easily, and then I don't can remember who they beat. But overall, they didn't play like they did in the Blast, right? Or the event before that they won. So there are problems for these teams for this event. I'm not saying on the major is going to be the same because there is 3 weeks after this event for Vitality. Vitality can rest, they can like recover, reload, whatever, get ready. I'm not worried about that. But right now, I am relatively confident that MOUZ can take advantage of all of this and win the tournament. Of course, there is always a factor of ZywOo just fucking going off and nobody can stop him.
Sure.
That can always happen. You have those superstars like, Simples and NiKos and ZywOos. That can always happen, right? In a finals game. But right now, I think MOUZ has it. The way they play right now, it feels super fluent. It feels super fluid, I guess, also. That's the same thing. And it feels like they're like on the same page when it comes to the T side. They are not repeating strats. They are just doing a lot of stuff that's kind of connected to the default as well. There's so many good things that I saw from MOUZ. But they have their own gaps, which I saw in the first game. But I think they kind of get rid of those after the first day. Overall, best chance for anybody to win this event is MOUZ, and I think they're gonna end Vitality's streak.
Man, I do love the take because I mean MOUZ has just improved. In the matches that I remember between the two teams, maybe not at the Rivals event, but the BO5 they had at Lisbon, it felt doable after the first time they played them at Pro League. It was not competitive, and then the Rivals, maybe they took a step back a little bit, but the fatigue element is something that definitely is negatively hurting Vitality right now. It feels like they're relying a bit more on the individuals than, say, teamwork. It's still good teamwork. It's actually still a tier teamwork, but it's not. Something about the fluidity of watching them play just doesn't feel like they're really sticking on each other as much, and that they're like everything is like airtight, ironed out completely. It feels like it's a little bit more, just a little bit more disconnected than what I saw at, say, the first, 10 matches of the streak, for example, or even like winning some of the grand finals that they did. So I like it. I think it's a cool prediction. I would still take, if you put like gun to my head, who's winning this grand final, I'm still picking Vitality though. So, but it's good. It fits the show. Okay. It's better than the first take today.
It's a good hot take, but I just totally disagree. Here's why I disagree. First and foremost, one of the reasons I disagree is because they can only play them in the final. The finals are BO5. I would be more like, if they were on the same side of the bracket, kassad, and they played them in the semis. I think if you get them earlier, semis in a BO3, that's doable. Because one of the reasons I think for MOUZ it has to be a BO3 is because I do still, look, I actually think, here's a weird hot take. I actually wonder how much of Shuhei was the whole choking thing, because they do look a little bit better in terms of choking without Shuhei, but they still have a bit of that DNA in them. And so my problem is this, kassad. I think much like that BO5 where they won the 2 maps after they lost the 13-0, but then after that they faded. The problem is, if you're MOUZ, you almost have to front run. What you have to do is you have to you have to like win one map really clean, then be like so ahead, like, holy shit, we're about to win. It's almost like the famous concept from cartoons. If you chase the roadrunner off the edge of the cliff, it's only when you look down that you fall. Like, they need to be running off and be like, we haven't even noticed we're off the edge of the cliff yet. The second they look down in that BO5, mate, they're down 1-2. That's when they're going to shit their pants and they're going to come in and just, fucking just.
I thought you were going to say the opposite.
No.
I was going to say, but as soon as they see the trophy that close, they're going to shit their pants and,
Well, they're going to do that too.
Choke. I was expecting you to say that, but just to add, like, I think that experience from Blast, was it Lisbon? Where they lost 2-3 to Vitality when they were like 13-0 on the first map. I think that's gonna at least help them a little bit with the experience and the fact that they, played best of 5, almost got them. There wasn't that much fatigue for vitality and stuff. So I would say that as a positive for them. And it's an interesting theory for Shui and choking. Was it him? Because we saw Liquid.
Right?
Liquid was one of the topics I wanted to cover this show, but we'll leave it for the next
for another one.
So maybe,
Just opening the door for that. We can do it on later. Also, the other two reasons why is, as you just said, ZywOo does exist, and this will be a BO5. Like, here's the problem, right? I'll tell you right now. It's one of the reasons why I do think ZywOo should have won more tournaments. Mate, you can catch him in a BO3. That'll sometimes happen. It's very hard to catch this guy in a BO5. I remember when Liquid famously had that ESL Pro League. Mate, there was a point in that where you could have beaten him. But if you give this guy 5 full maps, he's definitely going to come online eventually. He just is. And when he comes online, I'm sorry, Torchy, you go bye-bye. You just collect that silver medal trophy and fuck off back to Hungary or wherever you come from, mate, because it ain't going to happen for you. And again, in a BO3, you could just have 1.5 good maps. It's really hard to, because notice how, this is also why I don't think it's going to happen, Kassad. I notice you didn't say, and then, they have this map edge, and so they'll just beat them 3-0. Even if you imagine them winning, it's going to be like 3-2, 3-1. It's going to be really hard. It's going to be really hard work. And then the last reason why is actually one of the reasons I'm not a massive MOUZ fan. The reason why I much prefer, not only Vitality, but I much prefer Falcons over MOUZ, is I actually think MOUZ and Spirit of the two big four teams, the thing I don't like the most is I think they have the more strict map pools of those teams. Like, the problem is you don't see it with MOUZ because of how good the skill of the team is. When they play normal teams, they look like they can win on any map. Mate, when they actually play like when they play Vitality, go ahead, tell me the 3 maps they're winning in a BO5. That's the hard part, because
you can't even say one.
No, I mean,
for sure.
Well, maybe they could fluke a Mirage or something, right? Maybe they could fluke a Mirage. Who knows? Maybe this is a big maybe. Maybe you could get Nuke. Tell me the third. That's my problem. It's not going to be Anubis. I don't believe it's Dust 2. Is it Inferno? Probably not. You know what? That's my other problem. A problem I have with MOUZ is I don't think they're excellent. I'd almost rather they're like Aurora. Aurora are gods on Anubis, mate. They can get anyone on that map. I want you to almost have like a signature. I want like the signature map, mate, and they don't have it for me.
And the ZywOo argument you said, like, it's when you face those teams, it's similar to like NBA. You have to expect that the star player is going to deliver a certain amount of frags or points or whatever. That's just something you have to count on. He's going to have. That's the way when we faced ZywOo before, it was always the same. When you play against Simple in CSGO, you always know he's going to have 20.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. What can you do against it is the important part. Who's going to step up in your team? Your job is not to stop Simple. It's just to do something that's going to beat him, right? Now he's going to deliver his numbers, but is it going to be too much for you or is it not going to be enough? I don't know, but I will definitely, if it's going to be Vitality MOUZ final, I'm putting $100 on MOUZ. Just for the fun of it.
Also, technically, you will get amazing odds on them, by the way. Every Vitality match is going to be like 1.2 rated or 1.1 in it. So true. You're going to get really good odds. That's true.